For months, Keith Urban's social media felt like a ghost town. No posts, no stories, not even a tour snapshot. Ever since Nicole Kidman filed for divorce after 19 years of marriage, the silence around Keith felt heavier than the headlines themselves. Fans kept refreshing his Instagram, hoping for some kind of sign, a statement, a hint, even a small update. But nothing came. And that silence slowly turned into concern, speculation, and endless theories about what was happening behind the scenes. Then, suddenly, out of nowhere, Keith Urban reappeared. A brand new Instagram post popped up on his feed, and within minutes, it started spreading like wildfire. It wasn't a sad statement. It wasn't a cryptic quote. It wasn't even a personal message. Instead, it was a bright, energetic clip from his new reality show, The Road. And that alone made everyone stop scrolling. Why this? Why now? Was this timing a coincidence, or a perfectly calculated comeback? The post showed Keith looking calm, confident, and surprisingly upbeat, a sharp contrast to the emotional storm fans assumed he was stuck in. Instead of leaning into drama, Keith chose momentum. Instead of addressing the divorce, he pushed forward with something professional, something creative, something that signaled he wasn't disappearing from the public eye. Comments flooded instantly. Is this his way of saying he's okay? Is he trying to restart after Nicole? Why does this feel like a soft reset? People weren't just watching the clip, they were analyzing his tone, his energy, his appearance. And that's where things got interesting. His expression felt lighter, almost reflective, like someone stepping into a new chapter rather than clinging to the previous one. But the timing of the post right after Nicole's glamorous Paris Fashion Week appearance made fans wonder if this return was a message. Keith didn't say a single word about the divorce, yet this quiet comeback spoke louder than any caption could have. This wasn't just a post. It was a signal. Keith Urban was stepping out of the silence and back into the spotlight, and what followed next gave fans even more questions. When Nicole Kidman filed for divorce in late September 2025, Hollywood didn't just react, it exploded. 19 years together, 2 daughters, countless red carpets, award shows, and public declarations of love, and suddenly, it was over. No warning, no rumors leading up to it, no cold interviews hinting at trouble. Just a single filing that changed everything. Insiders described the split as unexpected, saying even close friends were blindsided. Nicole and Keith had always presented themselves as one of the industry's strongest couples, the ones that survived the fame, distance, and chaos that destroyed so many other marriages. They were the pair everyone pointed to as proof that celebrity relationships could last. That's exactly why the divorce hit so hard. Nicole's team stayed tight-lipped, offering nothing more than a brief confirmation. Keith's side? Completely silent. Not a statement, not a clarification, not even a denial of rumors swirling online. And that vacuum gave rise to endless speculation. Did they grow apart? Did Keith's touring lifestyle strain things? Was there a final breaking point? Sources close to the couple whispered about emotional distance, travel schedules, and disagreements about future plans. But none of these details were officially confirmed. Still, the public couldn't help noticing how quickly Nicole re-entered the spotlight with bold outfits, striking new looks, and public appearances that seemed intentionally confident. Meanwhile, Keith stepped back. He canceled interviews, avoided red carpets, and quietly disappeared from his digital platforms. That silence felt like the quiet aftermath of something painful, a space to breathe, recover, and adjust. But the longer he stayed quiet, the louder the conversations around him grew. Fans worried he wasn't coping well. Others believed he was working behind the scenes, preparing something big. Theories ranged from a surprise musical announcement to a tell-all documentary. Everyone was waiting for the next move. And then, months later, that move finally came, not with heartbreak, but with a reality show clip. Yet this comeback didn't erase the emotional weight behind the divorce. If anything, it raised a bigger question: was this Keith healing, or Keith hiding? The truth started revealing itself when he stepped back on stage for the first time after the split. Keith Urban's Instagram comeback wasn't dramatic, but its simplicity made it even more powerful. The clip he posted from the road wasn't emotional, wasn't personal, and didn't address the divorce in any way. But that exact choice is what made fans look closer. People expected vulnerability. Maybe a quiet reflection, maybe gratitude for support, maybe a hint about how he was feeling. Instead, Keith delivered something polished, upbeat, and promotional. For some fans, it felt like a breath of relief, a sign he was stable, busy, and focused. For others, it raised a different kind of curiosity. Is he avoiding the emotional stuff? Is this a business move? Is he using work to distract himself? The clip itself showed Keith in a lighthearted mood, joking about his hair, interacting with Blake Shelton, and watching young artists compete for a chance to open on his tour. The energy felt genuine. But fans noticed something deeper beneath the surface, a quiet tiredness in his eyes, a subtle calm that wasn't there before. His caption? Surprisingly playful. He poked fun at himself and the throwback photo shown in the clip. That humor was classic Keith, but coming right after a life-changing event, it felt almost symbolic. A way of saying, I'm still here. I'm still me. And I'm moving forward. Within minutes, the post was trending. News outlets ran headlines like, Keith Urban breaks silence after divorce, Urban reappears with surprising post, is this Keith's soft rebranding? But the real conversation happened in the comments. Fans wrote essays analyzing his body language. Some praised him for staying professional. Others thought he looked emotionally distant. Many simply said they were relieved to finally hear from him, yet one detail stood out: Keith didn't mention Nicole's name. Not once. Even though the entire world was talking about the breakup, he acted as if his career was the only thing on his mind. It was a sharp contrast to Nicole's bold, glamorous re-entry into the public eye. This return raised more questions than answers, especially when people realized the show he was promoting revealed more about his personal struggles than he expected. On the surface, the road looks like a simple musical competition, 12 emerging country artists fighting for a spot as the opening act on Keith Urban's tour. But when fans watched the trailer closely, they realized the show revealed something deeper about Keith's emotional state and the pressure he's been carrying for years. Hosted by Blake Shelton, the series isn't just about performances. It follows Keith behind the scenes, on the tour bus, backstage, during rehearsals, and in quiet moments where he reflects on the demands of life on the road. And those reflections suddenly hit differently after the divorce. In several clips, Keith talks openly about the loneliness of touring. The endless travel. The nights where the stage lights go off and the hotel room feels too quiet. He mentions how difficult it can be to stay grounded when life moves faster than emotions can catch up. Fans, watching this through the lens of the breakup, immediately connected the dots. Was this show filmed during a rough patch in the marriage? Was this Keith's indirect way of expressing what he couldn't say publicly? The emerging artists add another layer to the story. Many of them talk about personal struggles, sacrifices, and how their careers affected their relationships. Whenever they open up about heartbreak or pressure, Keith listens with a seriousness that feels almost personal, as if he's hearing his own story in theirs. And while the competition aspect keeps the energy high, the emotional undertones create a narrative that mirrors what Keith may have been going through privately. Fans started wondering if the road was more than entertainment. Maybe it was Keith's way of processing. Maybe it was a mirror of his reality. Maybe it showed cracks that the public didn't notice earlier. Suddenly, the show's release right after the divorce didn't feel random. It felt timely, strategic, almost therapeutic. And that became even clearer when Keith stepped on stage for the first time after the breakup. Touring has always been part of Keith Urban's identity. But after the divorce, fans noticed the way he talked about it changed. He wasn't just sharing funny stories or backstage moments, he was opening up about the emotional toll in ways he never had before. Keith has repeatedly said that touring is both a blessing and a burden. He loves the stage, the crowd, and the adrenaline, but the lifestyle demands sacrifice. Long drives across empty highways, back-to-back shows, and nights where the only companion is the hum of the tour bus engine. He once described touring as living between worlds, never fully home, never fully settled. After the divorce news broke, those old comments resurfaced online. Fans began piecing together small hints from the past, interviews where he mentioned missing his family, posts where he looked tired between shows, moments where his voice cracked while introducing emotional songs. Could these have been early signs of strain? Inside the Road, Keith mentions moments where he questioned the balance between career and personal life. He doesn't go into detail, but the quiet pauses before he speaks say enough. Suddenly, the audience saw the human side behind the megawatt performer, a man trying to hold together a life split between love and a career that never stops moving. Fans commented, "He looks like he's been carrying something heavy for a long time." You can feel the exhaustion behind his smile. This show feels more emotional than it's supposed to. And maybe that's why Keith chose this moment, this exact moment, to bring the road into the spotlight. Not as a distraction, but as a reflection. A controlled way of showing the world what life behind the curtain really looks like. And things became even more intense when he performed live for the first time after the split. When Keith Urban finally walked onto the stage for his first concert after the divorce, the atmosphere was different. The crowd was louder, the lights felt brighter, and the emotional tension was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just another show, it was a moment everyone had been waiting for. Fans watched closely, looking for signs. Would he mention Nicole? Would he break down? Would he avoid the emotional songs? Every move, every expression, every word felt symbolic. Then something unexpected happened during the show. The screens behind him flashed a montage of family photos, including images of Nicole and their daughters. The crowd gasped. Keith didn't say anything about it, didn't explain why the photos were still there. But their presence alone sent a message. Or maybe he wasn't ready to erase the past, maybe he still valued those memories, maybe the story wasn't as cold as people assumed. But another detail sparked even more conversation. Keith wasn't wearing his wedding ring. For years, that ring was practically part of him. Fans noticed instantly. Some felt emotional. Others took it as a sign that he was accepting the reality of the split. Then he performed songs that had always been deeply connected to his marriage, except with small changes in tone. And one song in particular made headlines. When Keith Urban finally walked onto the stage for his first concert after the divorce, the atmosphere was different. The crowd was louder, the lights felt brighter, and the emotional tension was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just another show, it was a moment everyone had been waiting for. Fans watched closely, looking for signs. Would he mention Nicole? Would he break down? Would he avoid the emotional songs? Every move, every expression, every word felt symbolic. Then something unexpected happened during the show. The screens behind him flashed a montage of family photos, including images of Nicole and their daughters. The crowd gasped. Keith didn't say anything about it, didn't explain why the photos were still there. But their presence alone sent a message. Or maybe he wasn't ready to erase the past, maybe he still valued those memories, maybe the story wasn't as cold as people assumed. But another detail sparked even more conversation. Keith wasn't wearing his wedding ring. For years, that ring was practically part of him. Fans noticed instantly. Some felt emotional. Others took it as a sign that he was accepting the reality of the split. Then he performed songs that had always been deeply connected to his marriage, except with small changes in tone. And one song in particular made headlines. When Keith Urban stepped on stage for one of his first major concerts after the split, fans expected emotion. What they didn't expect was a subtle shift that would turn one of his most iconic songs into a giant question mark. It happened during You'll Think of Me, a track tied deeply to heartbreak and moving on, a song that has followed Keith for years. But this time, the lyrics didn't sound quite the same. And that tiny change exploded into a wave of theories, speculation, and debate. The moment came fast. Instead of singing the classic "Take Your Cat and Leave My Sweater," Keith suddenly switched the line to something sharper, something that felt a lot more personal. Take your reasons and get yourself free. He didn't explain it. He didn't pause. He just let the line slip out casually, almost like a quiet message tucked inside the melody. But the audience? They heard everything. Gasps, whispers, and stunned looks spread through the venue in seconds. Fan recordings hit social media within minutes. Some claimed it was a slip. Others said he'd been rehearsing the altered line privately. Rumors suggested it wasn't random at all, that Keith might have been expressing a frustration he never publicly addressed. But because he didn't confirm anything, the mystery only got bigger. Theories grew from whispers to wildfire. Was it a reference to the divorce? A reaction to Nicole's quick return to the spotlight? Or something only the two of them would ever understand? What made the moment even more powerful was Keith's expression afterward. He didn't smile. He didn't acknowledge the change. But he didn't look embarrassed either. Instead, he looked focused, almost relieved, like he'd let out a tiny piece of truth he'd been holding back. And this wasn't the only symbolic shift. Fans noticed he had quietly removed The Fighter from his setlist, a song famously connected to Nicole. He had performed it for years. Now. Gone. No announcement, no reason, nothing. Add the lyric change on top, and suddenly the whole performance felt like a coded message. Whether intentional or accidental, that single altered line reshaped the conversation around Keith's emotional state. It made fans rethink everything they thought they knew. Because if he was rewriting his old lyrics, what else was he ready to rewrite? But that wasn't the last surprise he delivered. When it comes to high-profile celebrity splits, rumors are almost inevitable, and Keith Urban's divorce from Nicole Kidman has been no exception. Almost immediately after the news broke, gossip mills went into overdrive, speculating about possible new romances and hidden dynamics behind the scenes. Among the most talked about names was his guitarist, Maggie Baugh, a talented 25-year-old musician who tours closely with Keith. Fans and tabloids alike started connecting dots, noticing moments of interaction on stage, social media likes, and behind-the-scenes glimpses that seemed unusually friendly. Some even suggested that these small gestures might indicate a budding romance, but here's the important thing, none of these claims have been confirmed. Keith himself has remained silent regarding personal matters, keeping the focus on his music and professional projects. While speculation can make headlines, it's crucial to remember that social media posts, friendly gestures, or tour interactions don't automatically mean anything romantic is happening. Sources close to Keith have described him as intensely focused on rebuilding his career and maintaining stability for his family. According to insiders, moving into his own space was a significant turning point in his personal life, not just a physical relocation, but a symbolic step toward independence and redefining his life post-divorce. The buzz about Maggie Baugh, while intriguing to fans, also highlights how quickly the public fills gaps when a celebrity retreats from transparency. Keith's weeks-long social media silence created a vacuum that naturally invited speculation. Every photo, video, or playful comment is now dissected for hidden meaning. Some argue that Keith's carefully timed Instagram return, a lighthearted clip from his reality show The Road, could itself be a strategic move to control the narrative, subtly reminding the public that he's focused on his music first and foremost. The takeaway here is a balance between curiosity and caution. Yes, there's been chatter about potential new relationships. Yes, fans are connecting dots. But as of now, these remain unverified rumors. Keith's story is still unfolding, and his focus seems to be on creativity, touring, and reclaiming his public persona on his own terms, and yet, the intrigue only grows. Could there be more behind-the-scenes dynamics we don't know about? Will fans see more personal hints as Keith continues to return to public life? Or is this merely the start of a carefully managed new chapter, keeping his private life private while his professional life shines? One thing is clear, people are watching every move, waiting for the next clue. While Keith Urban was navigating his social media return and tour adjustments, Nicole Kidman was quietly carving out her own public comeback. Unlike Keith, her re-entry into the spotlight was polished, poised, and stylish, a reminder that even after a major life upheaval, she remains the ultimate icon of grace and control. Just weeks after the divorce news broke, Nicole appeared on Instagram, stepping into the public eye with a carefully curated image that instantly grabbed attention. Her post came from Paris Fashion Week, where she showcased a fresh new look that fans quickly dubbed her breakup bangs. It wasn't just a hairstyle, it was a statement. The elegance, confidence, and subtle defiance behind the photo sent a clear message: she's embracing change and moving forward on her own terms. Unlike the playful, nostalgic tone of Keith's first post back, Nicole's approach was sophisticated and empowering, highlighting her independence and creative spirit. Fans reacted almost instantly. Comments poured in from around the world, celebrating her style, her confidence, and the courage it takes to face public scrutiny after such a high-profile split. Some called it a power move, while others praised her ability to turn personal transformation into a visual statement of resilience. Nicole's social media return wasn't about drama or speculation, it was about showing the world she's still in control of her narrative. Interestingly, Nicole's posts have also been strategically aligned with her ongoing professional projects. Around the same time, she continued promoting her work, including her role in the upcoming season of Big Little Lies and a highly anticipated Practical Magic sequel. Fans noticed that her posts balanced personal expression with professional relevance, reinforcing her public persona as a multi-dimensional artist who doesn't rely on personal life events to define her. This comeback also created a contrast between her approach and Keith's. Where Keith's post was humorous, nostalgic, and subtly signaling a reset, Nicole's was elegant, confident, and controlled. Both strategies serve different purposes. One is rebuilding a public identity while embracing vulnerability, the other is asserting independence while demonstrating composure. Ultimately, Nicole's response reminds everyone that a high-profile breakup doesn't have to be a public spectacle. It can be an opportunity to redefine oneself, merge personal evolution with professional ambition, and set the tone for the next chapter of life. Fans can't help but be intrigued, watching how both stars navigate this new phase, one with nostalgia and humor, the other with poise and elegance. Keith Urban's social media comeback and Nicole Kidman's poised response paint a fascinating picture of two celebrities navigating life after a major split, and both are doing it on their own terms. Keith, after months of silence, returned with humor, nostalgia, and subtle vulnerability. Nicole, meanwhile, demonstrated grace, elegance, and confidence, showing the world that a public breakup doesn't have to mean losing control of your narrative. Together, their actions reveal more than just personal updates. They hint at how public figures carefully manage perception, balance career ambitions, and protect private lives in the age of social media. Keith's Instagram post wasn't just about promoting his new reality show The Road. It was a calculated yet authentic move to reclaim his presence, signal resilience, and subtly reset his public image. The playful energy, his references to early touring days, and even small details like not wearing his wedding ring send messages to fans and the media alike. He's moving forward, but he's human, reflective, and relatable. For Keith, humor and nostalgia have become tools to connect, reassure, and engage, turning what could have been a purely dramatic narrative into something more layered and personal. Nicole's approach serves as a striking contrast. Her Instagram return, polished, stylish, and purposeful, reinforces independence and strength. By controlling her public image through fashion-forward posts, strategic timing, and professional promotion, she demonstrates that resilience doesn't always need loud statements. Sometimes it's about subtlety, consistency, and confidence. Fans are watching every detail, from her breakup bangs to her red carpet appearances, and each move adds depth to her narrative of moving on gracefully. Looking ahead, both stars are clearly focused on their professional lives. Keith continues to tour and mentor emerging artists, while Nicole remains active in major film and TV projects. Yet their personal stories naturally intertwine with public perception, creating a narrative that keeps fans engaged, media buzzing, and social media speculation alive. Each move, from Keith's lighthearted Instagram clip to Nicole's Paris Fashion Week post, is an opportunity to shape the story on their own terms, blending private growth with public performance. Ultimately, this chapter of their lives is about more than a divorce or a comeback. It's about identity, reinvention, and control. For fans, the lesson is clear: in the world of celebrity, personal setbacks can become platforms for growth, creativity, and connection. Whether Keith's playful reset signals a new beginning or Nicole's poised posts mark a personal victory, one thing remains certain: both are redefining their narratives, captivating audiences, and proving that life after high-profile change can be both authentic and inspiring. So the big question for viewers: are we witnessing genuine personal transformation, or the most carefully crafted celebrity comeback yet?